Hello, my friends, and welcome back to Time to Level Up. So, today we are talking about organizing physical spaces. I find that when I have clients who start to understand how to organize their brains and clean out their thinking, they get really inspired to start organizing their physical spaces and cleaning out. So, I am talking to Muffy White, who is an old friend, but also a business owner, and I'm just going to start right in. So buckle up, sit down, listen in to my amazing conversation with Muffy.
You're listening to the Time to Level Up podcast. I'm your host, business life coach Andrea Liebross. I help women in business commit to their own growth personally and professionally. Each week, I'll bring you strategies to help you think clearly, gain confidence, make your time productive, turn every obstacle into an opportunity, and finally overcome the overwhelm so that you can make money and manage life. Let's create a plan so you have a profitable business, successful career, and best of all, live with unapologetic ambition. Are you ready to drop the drama and figure out the how in order to reach your goals? You're in the right place. It's time to level up. Let's do this. Okay, Time to Level Up listeners, I have a very special treat for you today. So I am talking to my longtime friend, Muffy White. I used to just call her Muffy Lake way back in the day. So all you Winchester sachems that are listening out there, you will remember Muffy and I from the class of 1990 at Winchester High School. So who would have known? Woo, woo, right. Those sachems. Are they even called the sachems anymore?
They're not.
What happened? They're not.
They said no. But I don't know what they're called.
All right. So the soon to be not sachems, because it's not PC, but that's okay. All right. Total different podcast. Totally.
Moving on.
All right. So listen up, people. Muffy lives in Massachusetts and I live in Indiana, but that is okay because we have been following each other both as small business owners and that people who help others organize. So I'm all about kind of organizing your brain and cleaning out your thoughts. Muffy is actually about organizing your spaces and creating clean spaces for you to do some better thinking and living in. So it's really interesting because we do different things, but we are both addressing kind of the same issues or the same piece of your brain, which craves organization. And she and I were just chatting before we started recording, and she mentioned a lot of her clients have what she called decision fatigue. And I can relate to that because a lot of my clients have what I call decision drama, right? They just can't, you guys just can't make the decisions in an efficient and effective way. And thus you stay stuck. So I am just going to let Muffy White introduce herself as a member of the class of 1990, but also as what? Muffy, who are you? What are you doing?
Hi, everyone. So yes, I am Muffy White. I am a home organizer and I do moving services and staging services based out of the North Shore of Massachusetts. I am a little bit more than that, Andrea often asks. So I have kids. I have 2 wonderful kids. I have a beautiful dog, 5 chickens, and a little nest on my front porch that sparrow put in my wreath with 5 eggs in it. So I'm literally like the crazy bird lady because I'm obsessed with what's happening out there. Currently, there's a nor'easter and I'm scared they're going to get blown away. I started this business 10 years ago, really unintentionally. I had 2 different friends of the family call me to help them organize their closets. They were in different spaces. One was going back to work after children. Another woman just kind of knew that I liked organizing and just, I think, was throwing me a thing. And I jumped in and did these 2 projects and was like, oh my gosh, this is it. I'm just so good at this. I've always loved organizing. And it started for many, many years as a side hustle. I just did a project here or there, all word of mouth, no marketing. And then when my daughter was going into second grade, I was ready to really start taking myself more seriously about the work stuff. And I started to really focus on a more regular basis. And then people asked me, at that time, I was still mostly doing women's wardrobes, like kind of like what not to wear, but the friendly way. Like I didn't really, it wasn't as scathing as the show was. And, but I ended up being a personal shopper and I didn't want that. I realized like I love fashion and I love beautiful things. But what I really loved was my clients' happiness and watching them feel confident and secure because my joke was like, you can't leave the house naked. So like you have to not fight the getting dressed process. But then it expanded into like, they would start asking me about an area in their house. And I was like, ooh, this is bigger. The impact of your home environment is so much more powerful. Your closet still definitely matters and it's part of that. But I started dabbling in other areas of the home and now it's like my lifeline. I just eat, sleep, and breathe making homes work for people. And it's different in every home. So there's not like, in every house you should have. None of that. And a couple podcasts ago, you mentioned the word should as a non-word. And so I agree with that.
Sorry, and you just said making your house work for you, right? Yeah. So a lot of times I'll say doing something on your own terms so that it works for you. So what works for one person or what doesn't necessarily work for the other. I think sometimes we get stuck thinking that just because whoever did it this way, that's the way it's supposed to go. And there's a little bit of like compare and despair, but that's
and like the buzz has come out of the joy, right? Does it spark joy from Marie Kondo? Yes. And now we've got the measuring stick of the home edit on Netflix and their rainbow. And that's all fine and good. Here's what I love. I love that people are really paying attention and that they know when I say I'm an organizer, they actually know what that means. For like years, I was always trying to explain it to people because it wasn't as commonplace. But your home is yourself. It's a reflection of how you are and also how you want to be. So I always say, we want to make your house like your highlight reel, like showcasing what? Like, Andrea, what is it that we want to showcase? Is it your love of travel, your love of literature, your love of movies, your love of the rainbow? Like, I don't care what that thing is, but like, let's put that on display. But each person in the house deserves some space. But like when I go to homes and you can tell that the children are in control, I try to buy back some space for the parents. Okay. And that doesn't mean your kids don't have space for their toys and belongings, but I don't think anything needs to rule the roost. Andrea and I grew up in Winchester with a lot of really beautiful homes. And it was very traditional in the homes that we would visit of our friends, where there would be rooms that were off limits. Right? Like there were formal living rooms, formal dining rooms that never got used. And I would say that in most homes I work in, that is not how we structure the house. The goal is to use the space, love it, respect it. It's not like just because it's a beautifully decorated room doesn't mean you can't go in it. So it's finding that balance.
Right. So people put things off limits, right? They're like, oh no, can't go in there. But then they're missing out. They're missing out.
So my whole thing is, why own anything that you're not using? With the exception of like, I believe in memorabilia and heirlooms and things you put away, like my wedding dress in a box, in a closet.
Yes.
But like, I am the girl who says, use your china, wear your heels.
Use it.
Why not?
Use it or lose it. Right. What do you think gets in the people's ways of doing this themselves? Like, because again, this is not rocket science.
No, I agree. So I think it's time.
Okay.
I think that it is passion. Like, I love this. So when I think about organizing any space, it excites me and I bring that joy. But like, if it's a job that you don't enjoy, folding the laundry, mowing the lawn, I don't know, they're tasks. Right. Some people might love them, but others just might not. So if there's anything you'd rather avoid, you're going to avoid it.
Avoid it.
So I feel like we have very full, very busy lives. And this is another task. It's not that it's an impossible task, but if you can avoid it, because your house isn't burning down because you have a cluttered spice cabinet.
Right.
Your children aren't at risk because every time you go to reach under your kitchen sink, you knock something over. It's no big deal. It's annoying, right? But
Right.
I think that bringing in help can just change the whole flow of your house.
It can.
You don't realize how much you're being blocked by crowded spaces until you're not blocked by them.
Right. So this is so interesting because I don't know if you're familiar with this concept. There's a guy named Michael Hyatt, and he has this full focus compass. Okay. So he divides the circle basically into 4 quadrants.
Okay.
And the axes of the circle are passion and proficient. So there's so many people that are hanging out in this zone where they're not passionate about it and they're really not super proficient at it, right? And like he calls that the drudgery zone. Okay. So you dread whatever's in there. And that's the kind of stuff that you should be delegating out. Where your genius is where you do have passion and proficiency. So like what Muffy's doing and what I'm doing in our businesses is the place where we desire to be because we have a passion and we're proficient at it. If you're someone who I'll be honest, I'm someone that doesn't like cleaning out the spice cabinet. Okay. So I would so much rather have someone help me do that. It's just not in my desire zone. So that's why
I make the parallel often. Like I could watch YouTube and learn how to change the oil in my car, but I don't want that knowledge. I talk about this a lot. My brain, as wonderful as it is limited. And I don't always want to stuff it with things that if I have the capability to get help on certain aspects, I have learned that taking that help makes me such a better fill in the blank mother, wife, friend, business owner. So learning to take help, not in a way that negatively impacts our life. Like I'm not lying around having everything done for me, but learning what I'm best at. Doing that because then I'm going to enjoy it more. And yeah, there are things we don't love to do that we have to do. But like I have just said to my clients, let me step in and offer you this. I know this is going to be one of those crazy things to say. I'm going to knock wood when I say it. I have not had an unhappy client. I know. Oh my God. I've had projects that haven't gone perfectly. Expectations have had to shift and goals have had to be like realigned. But I mean, I truly can say that I come into your house with love and I do my very best work. And that I leave that kind of positivity there and we make a great impact. So, and the people who hire me want it. Like they're ready for some level of support and change.
Yes. So I'm
aware of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Like when people are hiring me, they're ready. They want it.
Yes. They're not forcing a sale here. It's not like, come on, you definitely need
They know they need it. Even if they end up not hiring you, right? They know that ultimately like they
might call you now and not hire you, but in 2 years, I bet they hire you.
Right.
Sometimes you have to slowly get there.
You do. And people are think about it. Who doesn't want to be supported in some sort of way? And who doesn't want to create systems in their house or their brain or whatever? We all want the systems. We all like strategies and we all like support. Right. So
totally.
Why not?
Yeah.
Right.
And I
why
think
not?
There's also the support of having a third party. I know that sometimes not having to be the one in charge of everything, like as a parent, as a business owner, sometimes being able to say, oh, well, my business coach recommended that we do this. So we're going to implement this for a month. And my friend says that we should be eating this I don't know. There's just, there's different things that can offer a fresh perspective that, again, for me, a lot of it is about energy shifting. So we get the block and being stuck. If we just kind of look at it from another angle, and sometimes that's a fresh set of eyes. Often it's for me, literally physically removing things. Shifts energy.
So like I sometimes say you can't see what's going on in your brain because you're stuck in the peanut butter jar. So you can't read the label and people are stuck in their houses and they can't
especially right now after this past year, they know something doesn't feel quite right. But they don't know exactly, but I can walk into any home and I always have an opinion, even if it's to say, I love it. Even if it's to say, this is working. And sometimes people need that. They need to be reassured that you're doing great. We could always make adjustments, but you're surviving, you're keeping yourself alive, you're keeping your people alive, maybe a plant.
Wow.
Dude,
chickens,
right? Chickens? Yeah, we're killing it. Not the chickens, but
if you're up to chickens, then you're really just
oh yeah, I raised them in my bathtub this time last year.
Oh my God.
That's what my daughter wanted to do in early COVID.
Okay. raised chickens in the bathtub.
Because they're little, they can't go
Oh,
outside yet.
all right. We need to have a whole
Okay,
discussion
sidebar.
about raising chickens. Digressing. But think about that. Like, we want some reassurance. Sometimes I like to say you're not crazy, that you're not crazy, that some things are working, and we all want some guidance to figure out why, it's really sometimes it's like this doesn't feel right. So I was just telling you before we started, I had a client earlier this morning, and she's been working towards this goal, and we have labeled it a goal, and she's not getting there, and she doesn't even want to get there anymore. So I said, you're being held like hostage in your goal, like goal hostage. And so why are you even holding on to that? Like, why is someone holding on to the china that they never use? Right.
Or
it's
that they
taking
feel
up space.
And I think this will probably resonate with a lot of people who are listening. There are items that have like shame and guilt built into them.
Yes.
There are gifts that you've received from people. Maybe they were well-meaning, maybe they weren't. There's just layers, and we keep things, and you're like, oh, my Auntie June is coming to visit. I better put that vase out. And I'm like, okay, that's great. Will it make you happy? Because Auntie June's going to know if you're not happy. I live this. I know. So it's really learning to know that like a physical object isn't more powerful than you. And like to have like just that grace with yourself that you can change your goals too. Like you can think something really mattered. Like you could have decorated your house when you first bought it with a different vein. And then you're like, okay, we're different now. My kids are older. We have more dogs. We don't like Kelly Green anymore or whatever, whatever.
Yes, brass.
It's okay to make changes. It's okay to, I think a lot of it is like just giving ourselves permission to
let go.
Let things go.
Like I gave this client this morning permission to let go of this goal. She's like, oh, that's so freeing. And because what was happening is that she's not making space to do the things she really wants to do, or you're not making space for the vase you really do love.
Totally. Even though you got it at a thrift market and it's not as fancy as this one.
Right. She's saying, well, I should have this goal. Like I think
that word again.
Right. I should put that vase out when Auntie June comes because that's what they do. Good people do.
Air quotes.
Right.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. Okay. So tell me, when you start working with a client, when you go in, what do you think they're thinking and feeling? And then once you've completed the project, what do you think they're thinking and feeling?
So we always start with a phone call where we kind of discuss, what our goals
scope of
are.
project.
And then scope of project. And then I tell them that the first meeting, which is always complimentary, is a mutual interview because they need to really like me, but I also need to really like them. And by like, I mean, feel comfortable, feel that we can have nice open communication because this is going to get personal. Yeah, I don't care if it's your spice cabinet. I don't care if it's a photo album. I'm touching your things. And the number one thing I think people think is that, is she going to judge me? Do I need to explain myself? There's a little bit of an apology that happens. Oh, I'm sorry that and I try to tell them, if you didn't X, I wouldn't have a job. So I am grateful that people have cluttered closets, that people have bookcases that don't look beautiful, because I can come in and do my job. If everybody was capable of it and enjoyed it and did it, then I would literally not work.
Yes. I have a lot of people apologizing to me or saying like, you're going to think I'm crazy, or I can't believe I'm saying this.
Right. And I really like to say to them, like, please let me come in and see you in your natural habitat. Don't clean for me. Don't just let me see it so I can see what's working and what isn't working. And so that's how we start. We start in that space of a little bit of discovery of each other. And then I know the second it happens, I can see them click when they say, she's okay. She's safe. She's funny or not funny. And they'll like me. I swear I'm bizarre. I'm all hands. My daughter says I kung fu talk, but once we get there, I watch it. They're like, okay, I trust you. And that's where the snowball effect happens. That's how I went from closets to houses. I started in one space and then they wanted me to help over there and over there. And it was like, awesome. Yeah.
And that kind of sense of calm comes over them, right?
They're like, they feel safe. They feel supported.
Right. So
Know
cool.
that I'm there to, my end game is that they're happy. Like there's nothing I like more than texting the next day and being like, so how'd it go? How did it feel to wake up and see, did your new coffee station work or whatever I've been working on. And it's funny. I mean, people who think that's not something they worry about, it's not a worry, but it feels good. It feels like I love on your home and I show your home respect and I honor it. And I think that feels really good.
It does feel good. It does feel good. So, okay. So where can anyone work with you no matter where they live?
My best work is in person. My very best is me bringing myself to you and doing the work.
But do you travel?
I do travel, yes. Ooh. And I have helped. And so I also do moving services. So we move clients in, out, packing, we do staging, we do all the things to help your house. So we've traveled for that. We've traveled to help set people up in their new homes, or literally an organizing project is the same thing. It just might happen later in the time that you live in your home when we reset you up in your home. And I have been starting to do little videos and tidbits on Instagram as ways to share, like, this is what you could do for the people who like to do it themselves. I just don't know that everybody I think to get the best value for my service is when I come in and physically, I'm a workhorse and I'm fast and I'm super energetic. So you can get a lot if you get me in your house for a day or whatever.
And she travels people. She goes on planes.
I do. Listening. And I have a team. Like I have we're a small little army of awesomeness.
So. Awesome. That's so good. So I have been following Muffy on Instagram and I do enjoy for 2 reasons watching her little videos. 2 reasons. Well, 3. I want to go 3 reasons. Number one, it's always helpful, like from a very practical standpoint. Okay. She just did one on her freezer the other day and I was cracking up because my freezer is just a disaster. And it's like, oh, I never thought of putting the like ground meat on its side. I'm sorry. Yeah. I just never thought about that. But you open something up. So I love that. Number 2, they always make me laugh because you're hilarious. And number 3, it does bring me back to my youth and thinking about us when we were 12 and not 48 and 9, whatever we are. Right.
I know.
So anyway, so go follow Muffy on Instagram. If you're going to get anything out of this podcast, go follow her on Instagram. And
I do have to make a caveat though about the videos.
Tell me.
Is that this is a little bit of my vulnerability here. So they're unedited and they're unscripted. And I am really enjoying that, but it's really vulnerable. It's a lot of like, oh my gosh. But my mom, who is 78 and not really into social media at all, I send her the videos after I do them and she loves them because they're 100% me. And I said, oh, well, maybe this will help clients predetermine if they like me because they're so kooky. And it's like, do you want that? Because I think sometimes people assume a professional organizer is going to come in and be very buttoned up. And I mean, I'm just not.
You're like buttoned up in what you do, right? Like like the physical delivered product is totally buttoned up, but your brain, in order to actually probably do that, has to be creative.
That's really funny that you say that because I called your cousin that you podcasted with just recently yesterday. And I literally said to her, I said, I am so good at my physical work, but some of the logistical sides of running my business are my weak spots. And I'm embarrassed and I apologized, all those things to her. Because I said, could you help me? And of course he said, yes, what my business is.
So think about this, whoever's listening. Like, so Muffy's really good at organizing spaces and making them look beautiful. She does not like to organize the back end of her business.
Oh,
right. So you don't have to, they're not the same. They're not the same.
Yeah. Oh my God. They're not at all. And I was doing the apologize, but then I just realized that you can be great at what you're great at. This is what you were referencing in the drudgery. Yeah. Back office is drudgery for me. I can do it, but I'm reticent and I don't shine there. I want to be confident and proficient enough to be in control, but if I can get support back there to make it shine, my God. Woo, Deirdre, you got your work cut out for you.
Yeah. So if you haven't listened to, I don't know what episode, I think it's like 21, maybe. I don't know. It's my cousin Deirdre, who's a lawyer and she helps small businesses. So Muffy listened and was like, I need that. Just like I'm sure some of you are listening saying, I need that. right. So tell us so we've got follow you on Instagram. What else?
Yeah.
Any other great ways? Website?
Well, I have my website. It's muffywhite.com.
Okay.
I have a newsletter, which you can sign up for via my website, but I always populate that to Instagram as well. So Instagram is like my hub.
Okay.
I share everything. I try to share most days. And sometimes it's just something beautiful. Sometimes like just to be inspirational, like a scene I might see out my back door, or sometimes
like a nor'easter.
Maybe not that, but yeah. And I'm also on Facebook, but I would say that everything, it comes out of Instagram. But if you don't use that, go to my website, go to Facebook, and you can find me. But feel free to, I was saying to Andrea before, like I live to talk about this in not as everybody does. So if you had a rogue organizing question, you're in California, you don't want to fly me out. I'd love to talk about it.
And totally. I'm going to put all the links to the website and Instagram and all that stuff in the show notes. So, okay. End of podcast, but what is one memory from high school? And it doesn't have to include me, but what's your one greatest memory from high school?
Greatest memory?
Or I don't know. What's one thing you think about when you think about back in the day?
Okay. So my children aren't home, so I can reflect on this. I have 2 older brothers, and we used to throw the most epic parties at my house on Copley Street. Epic. And for parents who are listening, I know it's COVID, so this won't be happening in your life, but we used to throw half-day parties because nobody suspected a party happening at 11:30 in the morning.
We used to have half days. Yeah.
And we used to have
recall
half-day parties. So that's it was fun.
That was fun.
But like, I'm a freshman in high school now. Oh my God, I would die if he had a half-day party at my house.
Yep. See, these were the things. Way back in the 80s.
So many things.
So many
things.
Gosh. Yes. All right. I love this. So thank you so much for being here. And if you are listening and are thinking about organizing your spaces and your brain, you have found a great team in Muffy and I, because we're tackling the same place the same spot in your brain. It just needs 2 different ways we need 2 different ways to tackle it.
Well, I had a lot of fun recording that. I hoped you had fun listening. I would really urge you, if you're listening right now, take a screenshot and share it on Instagram or Facebook and tag us, because Muffy is a really big Instagram user. And if there's anything we've learned, if you're thinking about something like organizing your space and your brain, I am going to guess that some of your friends and followers are too. So go ahead, share and tag us, because you're doing the people on the other end a real favor by pointing them to a resource that can help them, just like this podcast, I hope, helped you. If you're interested in learning more about how to work with any of us or each of us, there were only 2, head over to the show notes where you can find all of the links to our websites and our social media handles, and then reach out and we can see if we are a good fit. Have a great day. And until next week, remember, it's always time to level up yourself, your career, your business, your space. Have a great day.
Thanks for tuning in to today's show. If you're ready to commit to personal and professional growth, move forward, make money, and manage life, head to AndreaLiebross.com. That's AndreaLiebross.com to find out about the ways we can work together. Until next time, go level up.